Okay, welcome to the Oceanic Racing League round number 8. The race is at Imola. We're about to get quali underway. It'll be interesting to see who can get out first on this, I must say, very, very difficult track. I had a lot of people struggled to qualify earlier in Div 1, so it'll be very interesting to see what the fine Div 2 drivers can do today. Div 2 has tended to be typically quicker than Div 1 on its day, and we've got a lot of quick drivers in the race today, and Jules Daniel makes his return this race from missing last race. He'll be looking to make up points in the championship, meaning he'll want pole for this race. Let's see who will get out first. As it is, who is it first out of the pit lane? It is, I believe, Gordo out first on track. Yes, it is. He's on his outlap. It is crucial for tyre warm-up here. You really want your tyres to be up to temperature going onto your first flying lap, because if they aren't in the window, there are a lot of things that can happen to your flying lap. You can get some oversteer, understeer, just things that will ruin your qualifying in general. Obviously, you have time for multiple runs in qualifying, because it's not one shot, but you still don't want your qualifying lap, your banker lap, to be ruined. Let's see who else we got out on track. We got Stick AU out on track, Haroldinho out on track, Heat McFleet out on track, Jules Daniel still in the pits, ISO Skits going slowly on his outlap, Dubois Luke on his outlap, Italian Herbs on his outlap. As we'll ride on board with Gordo coming onto his first flying lap. Let's see. Technically that's turn 1, but so coming up to the first chicane, so yellow flag in sector 3, someone's setting up that lap. You want to brake just after the start of the curve, going to gear 4, and then he gets it hooked in nicely. He missed the apex, but he used that to get a better run through the first chicane on the other side. Going to the second chicane, very high speed, very tricky. That's caused a lot of issues in qualifying, as he gets it turned in nice and easily. Will he get a bit of oversteer on the exit? No, he doesn't even run wide. Gear 5 through this next corner here, hopefully. Braking very late, brake as late as you dare and chuck it in. And then coming through the hardest part of the entire track. It's a quick right-hander, flat out if you get it right. Gordo didn't. Oh, as he gets a bit of oversteer, and that'll ruin his lap. That will ruin his lap. That'll lose him a lot of time coming into the chicane. Chicane is also very tricky to get right if you use too much curb. You can find yourself oversteering. As there's yellow flags in sector 1, it is a McLaren. I think it is Dubois Luke. Yes, it was Dubois Luke. He'd spun around. Now back to Gordo here. Coming through the final 2 corners. It's very, very crucial to get these right. Coming through the final corners. Does he get a good exit? Yes. Now what will the lap time be? It's not a quick lap. It's a 17.5, but that would have been because of his mistake at the very fast double right-handers. Is anybody else on their flying lap? Yes, as we have Skits going fastest. Who else is close to the line? We have Beano C on starting his flying lap. As I'm a Nubitron does a 121, he must have made a mistake. And Beano C starting his first flying lap of the session. Italian Herbs on his first flying lap of the session. Let's see what he's going to do. We'll ride on board with him. So we'll watch the off-board angles. As you just want to get it tipped in nice and easy here, braking about 75 meters. And now, what time will he get on the board? Oh, he ran a bit wide. That'll ruin his exit. As we're getting a lot of people setting laps now. As who is on a flying lap? Bino C is on a flying lap. See what he's gonna do. Reckon just after 50 meters. Getting it tipped in, that's gonna invalidate his lap. As it's Yeet McFleet out of the session, let's see what's happened there. Oh, it's Boy Luke's off the track. Everybody's all over the place. Where has he retired? He spun off to the left-hand side of the track. That will not be good for him as he is a contender for this race win. So, let's see. I'm an Ubertron on it. Oh no, he's in his in lap. As we have Harold Inyo, I don't know if he's on his flying lap. No, he's not. As we have yellow flags in sector 3. No, it's Rapid Clappy with a 1:16.9. Still not a very quick lap. Quite a far ways off Div 1 pole. But that is very, very quick in terms of Div 2 as he nearly impedes the Ferrari of ISO Skits who was on his second flying lap. We'll watch the off-board here. Just getting it in nice and tipped. Skits has quite a bit of pace at this track as he's 82 milliseconds down on his previous best as there's a yellow flag in sector 3 and he invalidated the lap. What's the yellow flag in sector 3 about? It's just Italian Herbs getting ready to warm up his lap. You'd hope he doesn't block the AlphaTauri. I think the AlphaTauri's either setting up a flying lap or an in lap. I think it's on an in lap. Yes, he is. So is Italian Herbs. As we are now at the stage of the session where a lot of people are just on their in laps. Is Clappy on a flying lap? No, he's not. X2 Mickey is just at a 17.1. I think Mickey was the person who took pole in Div 1, so obviously a lot more time to find for him. We did like a 16.1 for pole, I think. As Gordo will be coming into the pits as well, for sure, I think. No, he's just at a flying lap. What will it be? It doesn't look quick again. 16.9, as it is P2, but it's still, again, just not good for qualifying right now. As we have a Nubatron going out for his out lap. Boy Luke's on his in lap, I think. And we have X2 Mickey, I'd assume, also on his in lap. As Gordo is obviously on an in lap as well after setting his lap. Let's ride on board with I'm a Nubatron because people are only exiting the pits now. As we had the people that just set their flying laps going into the pits, but we have Noob out straight away again for his out lap. We'll go off board with him on this lap. Like, when we get to his flying lap. We have a lot of drivers out now, but we'll watch Noob because he is in the championship fight alongside Jules Daniel, so it will be... They're both down the order. I think they both have validated their laps. Their first flying laps. It's the yellow flag in sector 1. That's just people slowing down for their out laps. But these two, they're fighting for the championship right now. So they will both be wanting to be competitive and get up the grid. Simon Nupatron now going for his flying lap of his banker lap for his flying. As the Aston Martin nearly getting in his way, he gets tipped it in gear 5. He's going for the good exit approach, gets it nice and safe. Now will he get it in for this fast chicane or will he get impeded by the Mercedes? No, he won't get impeded by the Mercedes, and he gets it in absolutely beautifully. And through the tricky left-hander, will he get a good exit or will he get some oversteer? No, he's done it well. Nubatron has ascended to a different level in this league with Jules Daniel, but Rapid Clappy also very quick as a Nubatron getting it turned in very, very, very well. And through the double right-hander, he does go wide or get only oversteer, just flicked it in twice to the right-handers. Now through the chicane, as he gets a bit loose and he nearly spins it around, that will compromise his lap. As I said earlier, that is such an easy thing to do. Let's see what lap time he'll do, but I don't imagine it being quick after that. As he's just going to finish the lap off, I think. I think he knows it's not going to be quick, but will it still be pole? Because he had a really good middle sector. No, it won't be, but he goes P4 as we're now on board with Jules Daniel on his flying lap. He'll be looking to set his first flying lap of the race, or the session, because he has not set one yet, and he'll be wanting to beat the 17.2 of I'm a Nubatron. Nubatron obviously is championship rival, and Nubatron not setting a super competitive lap time, as Jules Daniel nearly runs off the track there, but it was just right on the knife edge. Yellow flag in sector 2, it's just a person slowing down for their flying lap. Into the chicane, will he do the same thing Nubatron did? No, he's attacked it perfectly. I run the same setup as him, and that's very tricky to do with his setup. The car is very low to the ground, and it likes to send the car flying, but he gets it right. He is a very quick driver at this circuit, 400th in the world in time trial. What's he going to do when he crosses the line? It's only a 1:10 on exit. This is going to be fast. It's a 14 across there. Is this going to be in the 15s? It is. It's a 15.8. 1.1 seconds ahead of Rapid. That was really rapid. Wow. Let's go with an off-board lap with Mickey. I've been told to do a lap with him. Oh, I've been told to go on board. You ask, you shall receive. Through the chicane, he tips that in very nicely, gets a good exit, no oversteer. And he gets it tipped in nicely. A bit of a lock up on the front left, but it didn't seem to affect him. Now coming up towards this tricky left-hander, it's just very fast. He gets it in nicely. Not the quickest run, as there's a Haas off the track there. Who is that quickly? It was Dab It Up. He is retiring from the session, maybe? No, he was just waiting to rejoin on the track. Now, up towards the chicane, he's 3/10 up on his personal best, 4/10 up on his personal best. Through the chicane, he gets it tipped it in very nicely. Will he beat his teammate, Jules Daniel? Will he snatch pole? It's not looking likely, but he breaks very late through there, gets it turned in. Now through the final corner, will he get a good exit? Yes, but he doesn't use all the track, and I don't think it'll be matching Jules Daniel, but it will be in the 16 region. He goes P2, but still 7.5 tenths off his teammate Jules Daniel. I think Jules Daniel's almost got a guaranteed pole here, as we have your boy Luke on his outlap again, another very fast driver. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, there's a Haas coming up behind him. I don't think they're on their flying lap though, as he's just trying not to impede other drivers. Everybody kind of on their in-lap or out-lap right now, as Gordo's on his out-lap. Bino C just completely cutting the chicane. I think he's just trying to get to the line to set another lap or something. Interesting. As the boy Luke trying to spin it around, drift it around the chicane. Now, I think Jules Daniel isn't going to go out for another lap. He's going to do almost a Sebastian Vettel. No, he is coming out. So he doesn't think he'll keep pole, even though... Oh, wait, no, he's in the pits. Wait, no, he's out. Ah, okay. We've got Mickey on another lap, potentially. No, it's an in-lap. Or a setup for a flying lap. As we have the boy Luke coming up to his flying lap, coming through turn 1. He gets it, he hits both apexes, and then will he hook up the left? Yes, no oversteer to watch out for. And then just get it nice and tipped in through this section of the racetrack. And he gets a good exit, hitting both apexes. He's 4/10 up on his previous best, as you'd imagine. It's only an 18.5. I know Boy Luke is very much more capable of doing 15, like 17s, maybe even 16s. In this race, there's enough terror off the track to let him through. But all costs don't impede the McLaren. As he brakes, gets it tipped in. Very, very easy to get that wrong. Now, through the chicane, will he mess up or anything? No, he won't. He gets it tipped it in. No oversteer to think about. Beautiful. Now, coming to the run of the final 2 corners of the lap. Will he hook it in? He gets the first one hooked in. Gets the second one hooked in. No oversteer. What's it going to be? It doesn't look all that quick, but it looks to be in the 16s. No, it's going to be a 17.2. So only P9, as I'm a Nubatron, will also be looking to improve. Because he wants to be up there with his championship rival, Jules Daniel. But it's an in-lap. Go with Missy when he comes out. No, I've already been enough on board with him. Rapid. For a lap. Now, will he be going for a flying lap? Yes, I think he will be. will ride on board. I'm getting messages on PlayStation telling me to ride on board with people. Now, coming up to turn 1, he's a very quick driver, this Clappy. So he obviously, he's got his friends to say ride on board with him because they think he can get pole by quite a margin. Now, through the fast chicane, tips it in well. Now, braking at about 50 meters, if not a bit after, gets it tipped in. I think there was a visual bug lockup, but it was a lockup nonetheless. He gets a good exit. Now, the 50 board has been taken out, but I don't think that matters because there's one on the left side. Now, coming through the double right, he runs a bit wide. That'll lose him a bit of time as it's still Daniel retiring from the session. I think, yeah, he's just retired in his garage because he knows he'll probably get pole. As through the chicane, he's absolutely sent the chicane. He's gone purple. This could be the fastest lap. What's he going to do through these final 2 corners? There's all the chance he could mess up. Through the final corner. And no, he takes it cautiously. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. And he comes across the line to do a 16.4. So still a good 6/10 off Dawes Daniel. But nothing to slouch about, as we have Bino off the track to let the McLaren of Du Bois loop through again. He's on another flyer. He obviously thinks he can improve. I don't doubt it. We'll go off-board with him here. Going through the chicane. Oh, as he cuts it. No, he's going for an in-lap, I think, if he's cut it. Anybody on a flyer? Not been. I don't think, yeah, no, Rapid's 4/10 down. We have ISO Skits on his out lap. He just set his lap. So I don't think, yeah, he's out of ERS. As Haroldinho, obviously, on an in lap. And then, Dap It Up, I think, also on an in lap. As we'll ride on board with the Ferrari of ISO Skits. We'll go on board with him on his flying lap. But he'll be trying to look to get his tyres nice and warmed up for his flying lap, because as I said at the beginning of the session, if you can't get your tyres warmed up, it's not going to be a fun time for you when you make that lunge into turn 1. When you're coming in barreling at probably about 315 to 320 k's an hour, as Rapid Clappy is out of the session. I believe that's just outside the pit lane, because it's a yellow flag to the first sector, unless he's just retired in his pit box. As we see Skits heading onto his flying lap. What's he gonna do? As he has all the ERS to play with. Barreling into turn 1, gear 4, hits first apex, hit the second one. That was a lovely section of the racetrack. He is very good at that chicane. Coming through the second one, what's he going to do? He's going to shift down so he can get a better line through the second part. Now braking at probably 50 meters. Third gear, fourth gear, short shift. Good man. No traction control, you can tell. Now, on the grass, he accidentally gets on the grass, he'll get understeer, he'll run wide, he doesn't invalidate him, so that means he could gain a bit of an advantage from that. He shift down, and he doesn't get a bad exit. It's yellow flag to the first and second sector. I don't think that's someone out of the race. Well, I mean out of the qualifying session. I think that's someone slowing down. As he's done a Charles Leclerc, but he didn't put it in the barrier, as that's Italian hose with a 5-place grid penalty for collision with Bean OCE. That'll be his session prematurely ended, as we ride on board with Mickey here on his flying lap. Will he be able to snatch pole off his teammate, or at least go P2 to make it a Red Bull P1 and P2 front row lockout for this race? That'll be good for the Red Bull's constructors if they can, and if they can hold it in the race. As Gordo, I didn't notice, he has gone P3 and he's up on his time right now. That's what's Mickey going to do across the line, as I'm a Nubatron goes P2 with a 16.3. Will Mickey be able to beat that? As I think it's going to beat Dawes Daniel. No, it won't. It doesn't even go P3. I mean P2. Now we'll ride on board with Gordo here, because he's up on his lap time as well. What's he going to do? Short shifting, lifting off, tipped it in, doesn't get any oversteer. What's he going to do across the line? It's looking quick. It's going to be a 16-2 as he goes P2 in the Alfa Romeo. But nobody, story here today, nobody can match Jules Daniel in qualifying. But what Jules Daniel's race pace is going to look like, we don't know. As it's going to be Jules Daniel P1, Gordo P2, Nubatron P3. And the other Red Bull of Mickey out in P4 with Clappy in P5. They're not as quick as they were, or Rapid isn't as quick as he was at Suzuka when he absolutely dominated. Jules Daniel brought out everything he had in this session. Everything he had. As Skits with a 17-0 being the leading Ferrari, if there is another Ferrari. There isn't. As Yeet McFleet failing to set a lap time, he is a quick driver. He'll be wanting to play catch up through the field. Nubatron, also his championship rival. So the championship fight, as it stands, 1 and 3 for the two people fighting for it. That'll be interesting, because Jules Daniel normally drops off a bit of pace in the race. Gordo can get involved here. He's very quick in the race compared to his qualifying, and he's just done a quick qualifying. So we could see a strong result for Alfa Romeo here. We could see a strong result for Red Bull. We could even see a good result for Williams, as Nubatron, as JMM puts it. He's the golden goose. So he tends to get lucky, as people are going to be getting their tyre pressures down so they don't overheat their tyres, adjusting their diff for the start, just getting mentally prepared for the race, coming into the formation lap. If you have the best tyre warm-up in the grid, it will give you probably the best start for the line at Imola. The Imola is interesting because the grid, if you're on pole position or P2, even P3 for that matter, you have to instantly start turning to the right. I mean, if you get your throttle wrong, you can spin directly to the right and just cause a lot of chaos through the field. As we should be starting in about 10 seconds here for round 8, as it's the formation lap. Jules Daniel obviously will be looking to warm up his tyres the best way so he can get the best launch compared to Gordo. As everybody's on the medium tyre, I believe. Is anybody on the hard tyres? Let's check. Tyre. Everybody is on the mediums, except Yeet McFleet. He's on the soft tyres. He has nothing to lose in this race. As I think, yes, Jules Daniel storming off on the formation lap. He'll be back. He's probably noticed, and he'll be backing the pack. Because the pack was backing up, so he'll have cold tyres off the start if he doesn't come back. As we have a Nubatron P2 here on the formation lap, and Mickey P3 out of their position. Gordo's obviously just trying to wait up so Jules Daniel gets colder tyres, and they've just overtaken him. They don't care. So it'll be interesting. The predicted pit stop strategy is if you start on the softs, a 2-stop from mediums to hards. It's like soft mediums to hards. And if you start on the mediums, it's going to be a 1-stop. But if we look at the past of this league, you know there's going to be a couple safety cars and a bit of carnage. As we have Gordo lining up on the grid, Jules Daniel lining up on the grid, Nubatron lining up on the grid. Will anybody get disqualified here? Jules Daniel angling it very aggressively. As he gets it right, he doesn't get disqualified. He's angled it aggressively so he doesn't have to accidentally spin it, so he doesn't accidentally spin it. And so he just has to start in a straight line. But also he's done it so he can cover off Gordo in P2 if Gordo happens to get a good start. As we've got the back markers starting to line up on the grid now. As we have the final car lined up on the grid now. As we're gonna... as we're going to get underway. And it's going to be 5 red lights. And away we don't go. Okay, and away we go. The lights held for a while. As Jules Daniel gets a good start off the line, so does Gordo. And here's Rapid Clappy looking to make a move on Gordo. As Gordo's going to hold the position. Will there be contact? No, there won't be. But it's very close at the back of the pack there. As Bino sees very much getting under pressure by Stick AU, and I'm a Nubatron. They're getting pressure by Ice Iron Rhino behind. Clappy getting very, very, very close up Gordo's gearbox, as Gordo will be wanting to hold on. As they say, yellow flag. I think somebody's spun out of the race. Yes, it is Davidoff. Is he out of the session? No, but he has no front wing. Back to the leaders fight here. Your boy Luke losing a position and scrapping with Yeet McFleet. As Jules Daniel still holding the lead, but Rapid Clappy got past Gordo at some point, so did Nubatron. Gordo must have made a mistake, but Nubatron got oversteer coming out of the double right-hander. Gordo did that in the Div 1 race in his Williams. Gordo obviously reserving Div 2 here in the Alfa Romeo. As Rhino's Bino C's gotten past Ice Iron Rhino. And Rhino is... Whoa, as back here, Boy Luke's about to potentially go 3 wide. No, they won't, but the Alpha Tauri and the Mercedes are side by side here. Yeet McFleet gets through. He's got a lovely run on the straight. He's right on the back of the Alpha Tauri, as Jules Daniels has the fastest lap of the race, of course. As Bino C and Ice Iron Rhino are scrapping for position. Gordo's about to get involved as well. Let's go on board with Gordo. As it's 2 wide, Ice Iron Rhino and Gordo, but Gordo's had to back out because he was right behind Bino C. Bino C ran deep, and he's accidentally... Ice Iron Rhino's gone clattering into the back of Bino CE, and now Gordo has a good exit. He will obviously get past Rhino because Rhino has damage. That is not going to be good for Rhino's race, as Davidoff gets a penalty, and the 2 McLarens are side by side, and now the Mercedes is side by side with your boy Luke. As Yeet McFleet making good progress on his soft tyres, as he will need to be a lot faster than this though. He'll want to get to the lead before lap 5, but I don't see that happening as he gets past on Ice Iron Rhino, because Ice Iron Rhino has some big damage. As we're going to go back to Jules Daniel here, he's having a calm race, 1.3 to Clappy behind. Wow, that's a lot to take in. As we still have scrapping here between Yeet McFleet and Boy Luke. They're going to go side by side into the chicane. There's not enough space for 2 cars through there, as Boy Luke has been ran wide, and he's round! He's been spun round! That is not good for his race either. As now, Boy Luke will be looking to get back into the back of the pack, but it's not going to be good, as Jules Daniel does an 18.9 on race pace. He is just stretching the gap to Rapid Clappy, as there's yellow flags in Sector 3. It is Haroldinho. He's around at the final corner, lighting up the rears to get it turned back around. But Jules Daniel in a land of his own here as Gordo gets past on Bino CE. They're having a good little scrap here. But Bino CE's gotten a bad exit. Oh, and he's round. He's in the wall. That's going to be a safety car, you'd think. Wow. Whoa, big crash. That is crucial. And yes, that's a full course caution. Safety car. Safety car. As the story here, Yeet McFleet up 8 positions from his start at P13. What a great start. That's obviously exactly what he wanted. He might pit under the safety car, so he has a better strategy and just lose a couple positions, bite the bullet. As Rapid Clappy up 3 positions from P5 to P2, that he'll be very aggressive off the restart. He'll be hungry to get Jules Daniel, knowing he's quicker, if he has any chance in this race. And Gordo down 2 positions, I think just making some mistakes and just not keeping his nose relatively clean. And then we have Ice Iron Rhino staying exactly where he was. Mickey down 3 positions, but he'll be looking to make those back. Will anybody pit? I don't think anybody will pit, as we already have a 5-second penalty for Dap It Up. As I don't think McFleet pitted. No, he didn't. So the gap to the leader is 2 seconds, but it's under safety car, so it doesn't really matter. Oh wait, no, it's a virtual safety car. We're back racing again. Oh, I thought it was a safety car, as DRS is enabled off the virtual safety car restart. Well, that's interesting. I thought that was for sure going to be a full safety car. I was pretty confident in that. because he's just gone straight into the wall, only off to the left of the track. That's a caution, but I guess not. BNOCE just out of the race, nothing you can do about it. Yeet McFleet obviously going to be looking to make up time on Gordo and get past Gordo. Gordo's been making a couple of mistakes this race. It's the chase now. As we're on board with Yeet McFleet coming through the chicane, he'll be gaining time on Gordo, but his tyres, he'll start feeling his tyres in 1 or 2 laps time. He's pretty slow through the chicane, gets a decent exit, gains on Gordo. I think Gordo got a bit of oversteer. But ISO skits pretty close to Stick AU, that could be a battle forming. As Haroldinho in Nowhere's Land. Same with Rhino. But Jules Daniel just still stretching the gap. 2.4 seconds. The VSA, I think he lost time underneath it. But he's just gaining. Like, he's just gained a tenth through the chicane. Lost a bit on exit. I think he must have got a bit of oversteer. But this is the battle for the lead here. Rapid is quick, but I think Jules Daniel is quicker. And who's going to keep their nose clean with penalties is another question. As we also have Nubatron involved here, he's very close to Clappy. That could also turn into a battle, and that could let Jules Daniel just be released to go and just extend the lead. I think there will be a safety car at some point in this race, but everybody seems pretty on it right now. But Jules Daniel will be... Rapid Clappy gets a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings, that'll be track limits. He will not be happy with that because that will compromise his race as he completely cuts the chicane as well. He'll get another warning for that. As I'm a Nubatron, that'll play into his hands like beautifully. That will mean he's net P2, so it's really the chase between Nubatron and Jules Daniel, unless Jules Daniel and Nubatron get a penalty. It's Jules Daniel setting the fastest lap of the race, with 6 lap hold mediums, as the boy Luke and Stick AU are fighting. As DRS is enabled, and the boy Luke runs wide, but he will get a better exit. He gets the switchback. They make contact! They make contact, as we're on board with the boy Luke here. He's going to go side by side with Stick AU, but Stick got the DRS. Not Luke, but Luke's running lower downforce, you can see, because he's still gaining even though there's the DRS of Stick. Stick is through for the moment, but we'll see that battle. As the boy Luke, that's so shocking, I just messed up, like, that was shocking from the boy Luke. He's gone off the track and he's just completely cut it. He obviously would have got a warning for it, but he hasn't got a penalty. As that's a spin in the back from the boy Luke. He's out of this race. I saw it as I was switching down the cameras. That could be a safety car. He's very close to the edge of the track there. Let's look at it. Yeah, he's just there. That should be a safety car, but it doesn't look like it. As Italian Herbs gets through on ISO Skits dropping down the positions. I think he spun or got distracted by the boy Luke's car, as it's still yellow flags in Sector 2. I think Rhino spun right next to his teammate because he was distracted. He's on the hard tyres, so he's pitted already. As the boy Luke's still not in last place because Davidoff is so far behind with 8 seconds worth of penalties. He's only coming up with the boy Luke's car now. That wouldn't be great to see. But Jules Daniel just still stretching his gap. Clappy with a penalty, but Nubatron right on the gearbox of Clappy here. This will be an interesting battle, because Clappy has a penalty. Will he just let him through and try to get Nubatron to carry him to Jules Daniel? Or will he fight and just fight and just hold them up, let Jules Daniel run into the distance if he isn't already, and just lose time and maybe even lose positions further behind to Gordo, as Gordo's running some decent pace here. Not the quickest I've ever seen. But if he keeps consistent and there's another safety car, he could be brought back into this. It's only lap 7 of this race, so anything is possible. I assume there'll be a lot more track limits penalties to come. So, don't count anybody out of this race just yet. Oh, except for the 2 DNFs. It's anybody's game, but Jules Daniel is just getting quicker and quicker. He goes even faster, 4 tenths faster. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. It is Davidoff. As he's just spun at turn 1. He's just going to stop on track. Because what's he doing? Oh, has Rapid Clappy made a mistake, has he? No, it's just the DRS. The DRS is so powerful. But Rapid Clappy's gonna try go for the switchback, but he got a bit of oversteer. That'll ruin his run at it. As Yeet McFleet pits under yellow. It's not a safety car or anything. So that's an interesting time to pit. I don't think he'll be able to stretch to the end. As Davidoff is now retired from the session, he's just given up. No chance for him, I guess. I guess that's his thought process. But that'll release Nubatron to go chase Dawes Daniel. And or hope that there's a safety car. I don't see him catching Dawes Daniel though. Dawes Daniel's just going quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker every lap. He has the pace in his hands. He has 25% battery. So he burned quite a bit of his battery on that last lap. Is there anything else going on track right now? Yeah, still Clappy versus Nubatron, but I think Nubatron's gotten out of the DRS. Yes, he has. The yellow flag in Sector 2. It is Stick AU round at the double right-hander. That is, it's Aqua Minerale. That's a very easy place to drop the car, but unfortunate for him. Because he was looking quite strong in this race to get a decent position. As Yeet McFleet gets a 3-second time penalty after just pitting for fresh rubber. He just pit for fresh rubber. And he got a 3-second time penalty. The cold tyre's not treating him well. As he has Haroldinho right behind him, but I think he will be faster than Haroldinho. Has Haroldinho got DRS? No, he hasn't. I think McFleet's in the clear here, but that means after everyone's pitted, I don't know where he'll come out, but it's not looking strong. He'll probably come out P6, just ahead of Italian Herbs, probably. And he has 3 seconds, so he'll probably be like net P7. Rapid Clappy 1.5 down on his time. Looks like he made a mistake attacking the chicane again. You'd think he gets a warning for that every time he does that. He'll be looking to rack up more penalties, not deliberately. He won't want penalties, but he'll be racking them up. As there's not a lot of penalties or not a lot of drama in this race, as Dawes Daniel has clearly just taken off the burner. He's chilling, taking care of his tyres. He's got the gap he needs. I know quite a few people that have had that experience, and then there's just been a late safety car or just a safety car in general, and it's just done them in. So he'll be hoping there's not a safety car in this race, because if there is, it might not be a fun time for him. Especially with Nubatron behind, he tends to be very aggressive on restarts, just looking to make up as many positions as he can. But there's not a lot going on track right now. Nobody's really close to each other. The closest fight is Iron Rhino and Haroldinho, and that's not even really a fight, is it? It's just at the back, it's not even, it's for 1 point, so I guess we'll look at it. But they're not even that close, they're a 3-second gap. Just nobody's close on track right now. It's very spaced out, we need a safety car. Maybe Mickey crashing out, Gorda crashing out, just something interesting. Because nothing is going on in this race. We're taking on board that with Dawes Daniel, why don't we? On 10 lap old mediums. Yeah, he's definitely just slowing the pace. Doing 20 zeros instead of 18 fours. And just coming into turn 1, I think because he's conserving his tyres, he'll just be looking to brake at the start of the curve, keep it in gear 5, just minimise wheel spin, but he got a bit of oversteer, so that won't be nice to his tyres will be screaming for help. And then through the fast chicane, just chipping it in, braking at 50 metres. He's 4/10 down in the first sector, he's not going for a fastest lap, he's just looking after his tyres, trying to get as little wheel spin as possible. But he's still quick. He is still a very, very, very quick driver. And considering his fastest race lap on medium tyres with heavy fuel is faster than the slowest qualifying time, that is just crazy, because if there's a safety car late in the race, he could box the softs and just do a mega glory run and just do like a qualifying lap time almost. As the Nubatron just not gaining any time still, everybody's tyres are just going off. As Clappy's kind of closing in a little bit on Nubatron, but not by much. As Is that McFleet making up a position? Yes, it was. I missed that. I didn't see that occurring on the minimap. As Itai and Rhino and Harold Dinho are also fighting, so track action is starting to happen again. As we'll go on board with Stick AU. No, he's just getting gapped because McFleet's on fresher tyres. So we'll look at Rhino and Harold Dinho. But no, Rhino's just blitzing again, so again, nothing much happening on track. The closest battle is still Stick AU and McFleet, but I don't think Stick's even in DRS. So he won't even really be able to fight back. We'll ride on board with... No, he's pitting. He knows his tyres are off. It is about the pit window. So it makes sense that we are seeing people in the pits. Mickey's also in the pits. As he's just exited the pits, he'll get a warning for crossing the white line. He's also ran deep, and Clappy gets another 3-second time penalty. That is just tragic. That's just the nail in the coffin to his race, because Gordo is within 6 seconds of him. So unless Gordo gets a penalty, nothing is gonna make do. There's Harold Dinho coming out of the pits on his hard tyres. The cold, hard tyres are very difficult to manage, but once you get them up to temperature here at Imola, they feel quite nice. As we see Jules Daniel in the pit lane, what sort of pit stop will he get? You'll hope he doesn't get a slow stop. We'll see. Oh wait, no, it's coming out. As Clappy coming out of the pit lane. As Gordo's in, let's see what sort of pit stop he gets. It's a good pit stop. And still nothing to talk about really, just people pitting. Strategy. Let's see if Italian Herb's pitting, so he's lost position. McFleet with a 3-second. He's jumped Gordo, though. So he has done very well on those new tyres of his. He pitted early, but his tyres will go off. And he's also on that 2-stop to mediums to, like, soft to mediums cards. So he's going to go through the tyre rainbow, even though we don't have the full rainbow anymore. Like we used to with the Ultra Softs. But he has jumped Gordo. But he isn't... Oh, he is within 3 seconds of P3 Rapid Clappy. But then Gordo's going to jump both of them. So... if Gordo doesn't get a penalty, he's still net podium. But we do see Mickey closing up to Gordo. He doesn't have any penalties either. That'll end up being an interesting fight. As McFleet's tyres will start, he'll start to feel them soon. So Gordo will start catching, I believe. But Mickey, that's going to be an interesting fight. As a Nubatron now pits. Nubatron's going to be exiting the pits. Now, will Clappy get him? It's going to be close. No, it won't be. But it is, the gap is closer than before. Normally the overcut tends to be stronger, but I think Nubatron must have made some sort of mistake. As Nubatron gets a bad exit out of there. Clappy is within attacking range of him now. But Clappy does have the 6 seconds worth of time penalty. He's going to try go right around the outside. And it's a lovely move on I'm a Nubatron, but it doesn't really matter, does it, because of his penalties. But he is going to be pushing flat out for the rest of the race to try get to Jules Daniel, but Jules Daniel's still in a mind of his own. 12 seconds ahead of the next car. It is just crazy, Jules Daniel's pace. I think we might see a safety car. A Stick AU now picks up a penalty for track limits. Not great, it's just insult to injury, as McFleet now gets another penalty as well. And that's just bad. The two Mercedes both have 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Given Gordo isn't within 6 seconds of Clappy anymore, but Nubatron is. But he is within 6 seconds of McFleet. So, yeah, McFleet is going to be tasked with trying to stretch that gap, but Nubatron gets past Clappy. So, That is interesting. He will be looking to now stretch the gap, try to get out of the DRS, but Clappy is playing very aggressively here. But Nubatron goes purple to the first sector. So he could be trying to go for a glory lap, fast lap of the race, and just hopefully hope that he gets outside of the DRS range of Clappy, so then he doesn't have to worry about a counter-attack, because Imola is very much a DRS trained track. Once you get past someone, you have to break the DRS before the back straight, or nothing is ever going to happen. You're just going to keep going back and forth for an entire race, as McFleet is starting to catch up to the two as well. So this could turn into a three-way fight, but Nubatron doesn't have penalties. Clappy and McFleet have penalties. Jules Daniel sets the fast lap of the race, so everybody's going quicker on their fresh tyres with the lighter fuel. And then Gordo doesn't have any penalties. He's within 6 seconds of McFleet, but not within 6 seconds of Rapid, but it's very close. Is Rapid gaining with the DRS, gaining with the DRS, gaining. It's not going to be enough. I think he's running high downforce, and he's out of ERS. Nubatron still has about 50 to play with. So let's right on board with Clappy here. Nubatron running a bit wide, so will he be able to take advantage of that and just gain as Harold Dinho picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits? Let's go off board. Now, McFleet has gained a couple tenths on P3 and 2 and 3. So it could be interesting to see if he can get involved, but he has to pit again soon, and his tyres will be screaming as Nubatron runs a bit wide, and that's letting Clappy just close up to Noob, and he's going to mount an attack on the straight. He's saved up a little bit of battery, but Nubatron still has a lot to play with. He's using some of it right now. Now, let's see, will Clappy be able to mount a challenge with the little amount of ERS that he has down the main straight? As he's going to open the rear wing, he's going to press the DRS button, the flap will just flap open, and now he's gaining down the straight. But again, he just doesn't have the ERS to catch up. He's had to turn it off, and he's just not going to catch up to Noob. It's not enough. He needs to save battery and just stick within that DRS for a couple laps and just not use battery and just mount a big attack, just burn all of his battery at once. He is not doing anything by trying to use 10% ERS. He's up on his last lap time and he's gaining on Noob. But it's just still not going to be enough because he's not going to have enough battery to mount a challenge to Nubatron's straight line speed in the Williams, as we still have Jules Daniel out front dominating. 15 seconds, he stretched the gap another 3 seconds. And it's closer this time. The gap is closer as DKU picks up another 3 seconds. There's a yellow flag. I think it's ISO Skits. It is ISO Skits. He's around, but he's got it back on track, so it won't be a safety car. As Daniel goes into the 17s. On a qualifying lap, like a qualifying lap pace, a bit off his quali lap pace, but that is a blistering fastest lap, as we see Clappy trying to mount a challenge, but he just still doesn't have enough ERS to get past Nubatron. He's gotten a lot closer on that lap than he has on the last lap. This is a very, very locked in battle. We'll probably see this until the end of the race. But Rapid won't really be able to do much about it, I don't think. Because, let me check. Yeah, Noob has 1 lap fresher tyres. Let alone but more ERS. And then Rapid's starting to drop back. He's not gaining time on this lap, he's losing time. He's used too much of his tyre life and he's just using battery everywhere now. He's not even trying to save it for the main straight. He's just not catching up, is he? He's losing time as he runs wide. That could be a track limit. I don't think he got a warning. As we do see Gordo still teetering around 2 seconds behind McFleet. And if he can get past McFleet, he might be able to grab a podium because of Rapid's penalties. but he seems to be just running consistently behind McFleet. As Rapid using all of his ERS, but he just runs out. As he starts to catch coming into the braking zone, he runs out. He runs out, and then he just can't continue to mount the challenge. He gains a little bit more because of the DRS, but he doesn't gain much more after that, as Jules Daniels extends his lead by another second. As we'll ride on board with Clappy here, see what he's doing. Just up the gears. He's gaining time through the middle sector, but then he's losing time down the straight because he doesn't have ERS. If this was the older F1 games, like 2019, I believe was the last time we had advanced ERS, he would just turn it down to none, at least that's what I would do, and I would save the battery and mount an attack, because you could save up nearly 100% battery in one corner. As DKU just picking up another 3-second time penalty. Just exceeding track limits too much, and he's not, I don't think he's even close enough to Nubatron. Like, he has DRS, but he's not even anywhere close to mount a challenge with the amount of ERS he has. He's gaining, don't get me wrong, but again, he's just topping out at the end of the straight. If Nubatron doesn't make a mistake, or Clappy doesn't learn to save his battery, I think it will be the same thing every lap, lap after lap after lap. So we'll look around the grid here. As McFleet is gaining, but as I've said 1,000 times, he has to gain, and once McFleet pits, unless he's trying to stretch to the end, which he'd be a madman, once McFleet pits, that'll let Gordo just kind of drive off into the distance, because I think he's just getting the edge of the dirty air, and it's costing him. So I think once McFleet pits, Gordo might be able to get within that 6-second window to get the podium off Clappy, as Clappy is actually a lot closer to I'm a Nubatron on this lap than any other lap, I think. It is very, very close between the two drivers here. This could be, let's see how much ERS he has. He only has 6% ERS. He's used all of his ERS through the lap to keep up. He's not going to be able to do it. Oh, actually, he's a lot closer on this lap, though. So he's got the slipstream this time around. He's got quite a big slipstream, but it's just not enough. He's closer that lap, though. He is closer. He just needs to save battery. If he saves battery, this could be an interesting fight. Let's look down the grid. X2 Mickey just not had the race he would want. He's just had a bit of misfortune. I think he had a bit of contact on lap 1, you can see by his nose. Rhino stretching really long on old tyres. I think he had contact with someone and had to replace the front wing. Italian Herb just not being that great, as he just picks up his first 3-second time penalty as we go on board with him. Commentator's curse. Skits was running pretty high up the order in P7. It was going to be some good points, but he spun and now he's down into P9 again, not what he'd want. As we still have 11 laps left in this race, anything is possible in 11 laps, but here's the but, will anything happen? Oh, wait a minute. Clappy is very, very close to Nubatron this time around. He actually might get him here. See, opens the DRS. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. It is Haroldinho. Is he out of this race? I don't think so. But, no, I think Nubatron's just deployed all of his ERS at the end of the straight. Like, Clappy looks to get really close. But then Noob just goes, oh yeah, I have ERS. I'll use it. As Haroldinho is out of the race, he's crashed out now. That could be a safety car. It's a yellow flag Sector 1, 2, and 3. And it is a safety car. The safety car's deployed. And that'll mean Jules Daniel will probably pit. Nubatron will pit. Clappy will pit. Clappy might be able to take off 5 seconds. I don't think so because they're track limits. That is very, very fortunate for the 2 cars behind Jules Daniel. Jules Daniel will be kicking himself. Absolutely kicking himself. But he probably will pit for a fresh medium tyre or a fresh soft tyre and just stretch the gap again on the restart. But if Nubatron gets his act together on this safety car restart, he could make him mount for the lead. He has tended to be aggressive on the restarts. That'll put Gordo in prime position to pounce on the two Mercedes, as he did get P2 in qualifying. He is quicker. He could pounce and seize that opportunity, and it'll also just put him within the 6 seconds anyway. That'll mean he is net P3. Will Jules Daniel go into the pit? Yes, he is on the pit. What tyres is he going on to? He's going on to a fresh set of soft tyres, potentially. Or is it used? No, they are fresh. As Nubatron baits the pit. That's not legal, but yes, Jules Daniel's been jumped by the two leaders. So that is a big story. But will they be able to defend him? So he's net P2. He will be able to get past them quite quickly, you'd think. As Yeet McFleet pits, that plays into his strategy actually really, really well. And it also plays into ISO Skitz's hands, because he can now get back into this race in his Ferrari. As Gordo also pitting, everybody's pitting for fresh rubber. And the drivers that don't pit are going to be at a massive disadvantage. Jules Daniel will be able to cut his way through them like a hot knife through butter, you'd think, on the restart. And if he doesn't, it will be a shock. As we're behind a safety car, that has helped a lot of people's races. That'll bring a lot of people back into this race. And Nubatron, now that he's in P1, if he can maybe get, if Jules Daniel doesn't have that overwhelming pace, and Rapid tries to defend really heavily instead of just letting the faster car through, Nubatron could stretch and win. And the softs last more than 6 to 7 laps if you're careful on them. As Mickey on the hard tyres. Let's see the tyres. Yeah, so X2 Mickey, Rapid Clappy, and Nubatron are going to be at a big disadvantage to everybody behind them. They're going to get jumped. They will get jumped. But will maybe the soft tyres degrade if people are pushing too hard? That could potentially make it so the hard runners could be back into it at the end of this race. As I don't think the safety car isn't not in this lap. And then it probably won't be in next lap, because it will want to let stick AU to try catch up, for at least ISO Skits to catch up. But the story here is, will Jules Daniel be able to get his way back through the field? And if he does, will his soft tyres hold on? He will set a very fastest lap, I would imagine, on the soft tyres with low fuel. It'll be pretty much a qualifying lap for him, I would think. Will X2 Mickey be very aggressive off the restart and try to jump his teammate? Or will he be the team player and let Jules Daniel just progress through the field on his fresh softs? McFleet, will he be able to be aggressive on Mickey? Will Gordo be able to be aggressive on McFleet and then be aggressive? That actually, Gordo is very, very quick at Imola here. This will be a good chance for him to bring himself back into this race after a couple mistakes on the first couple laps. He will be loving life right now if he gets a good restart. As we're going to have Skits just close up to the back of the field, you'd think, before the end of this lap. And that could mean the safety car's in this lap, but I don't think so. I think it'll wait one more. But, yeah, Nubatron and Clappy are very much compromised. Especially Clappy has 1 lap older tyres than Nubatron. As, yes, Skits is here. Is it going to be safety car in this lap? No, it's not. Oh wait, is it? No, it's not. It's not in this lap. As they're gonna go one more to let Stick AU catch up. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens on this restart. There's gonna be a lot of carnage. I think a lot of people just trying to be too aggressive, maybe. Just overall, it could be very aggressive. As past DKU going very, very slowly, stopping on the track, almost, on that exit. He's not going to catch the safety car if he does that, and that will also just be making his tyres cold. I think he's trying to stretch the safety car one more lap almost, but it's not going to work. It will come in this lap. So the order is as follows: Nubatron, Clappy, Daniel, Mickey, McFleet, Gordo, Rhino, Italian Herbs, Skits, and Stick AU. Now, the pack was very spread out before, so the race was quite boring, but this brings this race just straight back into action and puts life back through it, because it was starting to get very, very boring as it is. Safety car in this lap. Who will Nubatron do a late restart, just hold the pack back as much as he can? Will this pit limiter, the safety car limiter, restart limiter, mess him up? Or will Clappy get him? Clappy will now have the ERS he needed before, but will Dulce Daniel, with his fresh tyres, just get more traction and just get a better restart? Or is Nubatron already bolted potentially? No, he can't. As will he bolt late or will he bolt early? He's holding the pack back. He's gonna bolt late. As he's bolted now. As Dulce Daniel very, very, very aggressive on Clappy. But it is a lot of action here. As Guy McFleet goes through on Gordo. Coming into the first corner, it's nearly side by side with the Red Bulls, but it's side by side between Clappy and Dulce Daniel. As Dulce Daniel gone through on Clappy. As there's a lot of too wide action here, as Clappy's going to try have a go back. No, he won't. He's learned his lesson from Div 1 when he made contact and spun around through that corner. As he's already on the back of Nubatron, he has a lot more grip than Nubatron. You can see it. You can see how much extra grip he has. Will he make a go into this corner? Potentially. But as X2 Mickey gets through on Yeet McFleet, will he? No, he won't. Yeet McFleet just runs him a bit wide on the fresh tyres. As Dulce Daniel's still not through on Nubatron yet, but I think he will be soon. He's not going to make a lunge into this corner. He dummies it, so Nubatron potentially gets a bit of pressure. As ISO Skid's pulling out to the side, not past the KU. Past the KU. As Skid's running a bit wide, that'll give him a run on Italian Herbs into these final two corners. As Dulce Daniel gets through on Nubatron, as Dulce Daniel's just going to start blitzing away now, as Rapid Clappy gets another 3-second time penalty, so will Stick AU, as that's 9 seconds worth of time penalties with Rapid Clappy, and I think that'll put him to the back of the grid right now. But by the end of this race, you think it wouldn't be, as ISO Skits gets through on Italian Hers, as Gordo gets through on X2 Mickey. Go Gordo. Now he's got to try and work on closing the gap to the two Mercedes as they go side by side. I think Clappy's let McFleet through, knowing he has less penalties. He's going to let his teammate run away. But now Gordo is going to be putting the pressure on Clappy because Gordo has fresh, soft tyres. As he has so much more traction. This will bring Gordo up into net P3. Oh, as they make contact and they're both in the wall. That's a big crash. That's a big crash. That's going to be a safety car at the end of this race. That is tragedy for Gordo. Absolute tragedy. As it's going to give the chance for Nubatron to pit. That's Clappy out of this race. I didn't even catch what happened. It was so sudden. It looked like they just teleported into the wall. As a Nubatron, that'll let him pit for fresh soft, but it'll drop him to the back as well, so I don't know if he will do it. I think he'll try hold track position. As Rhino, the golden goose this race, unlike Nubatron, normally he is the golden goose, but Rhino is the golden goose this race. This will just play into his hand even better. Rhino could get a podium here. That's so unfortunate for Gordo. He's going to have to pit for a new front wing. But that is so unfortunate. He'd made so much progress on those tyres already. He was about to get up into the podium places, as Rhino is now where Gordo would have been. Rhino, obviously a driver in this Div 2 championship, but it is the two championship leaders, P1 and P2, but Nubatron on old tyres. I think Rhino is in net P3 and he's P3 in the championship, I think. So that also, he's in net P3. This could claw back some points if he gets past Nubatron. But I think if Daniel wins this, I think he might be back in the lead of the championship. As Gordo will be just trying to catch up to the safety car queue, he will probably get back up to P6 potentially, because he just has that much pace in the Alfa Romeo, but we'll see. It depends on what the restart's like and when the safety car wants to come in. As still Daniel just backing the pack up from the safety car a bit, everybody obviously doing their tyre warm-up weaving. It's going to be a stressful restart. Oh, I've been told Iceland Rhino has front wing damage. Let's look at his front wing. We'll try to see it from an offboard. It doesn't look like he has damage. No, I don't think he does. As Gordo already back to the back of the pack, luckily. Not too bad for him. Obviously, everybody who finished this race, I think this is the 90% point in this race. So I think everybody who finished this race will be getting points. But it doesn't look like Rhino has damage. I don't think he does. I think whoever said that in chat is bullshitting me. Oh. I wish I could see his front wing. Oh, no, he doesn't have damage. He doesn't have damage. It depends. Is his front end plate, front right end plate, missing the right flap on the side? No, it's not. He doesn't have damage. This is lap 29. Out of 32. No, Rhino does have damage. Okay. So, Nubatron will obviously try to be aggressive on the restart, but I think Dulce Daniel will obviously go for a late restart tactic, bunch the pack up, and then bolt with his extra grip. And Nubatron will probably hold up P3 because he'll fight. But McFleet right now, he's pretty much at the back of the grid. He'll be P7 because Italian Herbs and Stick AU have penalties. But McFleet, no, he'll be P8 because Italian Herbs won't be that far back on him. Yeah, so McFleet's pretty much effectively at the back of the grid. He's not going to be able to stretch the 6-second gap in 2 laps unless there's a big crash behind. Mickey's still on old hard tyres. He's going to start plummeting through the grid again on this restart. I'd assume the restart's going to be in this lap. As Dulce Daniel just staying back from the safety car, almost pacing the grid himself. Yes, it is safety car in this lap. It's called a lot earlier than last lap, and he's just already backing up. You can see what he's trying to do. As we have two people going side by side on the track. It's a safety car, guys. Can't be doing that. Okay, we'll go back to Dulce Daniel. It depends on how well he restarts this race. He'll either find himself victorious or not. As he's backed the pack up a lot already. Is he gonna bolt yet? No, he's waiting. He's being like Nubatron. As he's bolted now, he's bolted. As Nubatron gets a good restart, he's still getting attacked by McFleet behind though, because he just doesn't have the grip. You'll see through turn 1, he'll lose a ton of time to Dulce Daniel. As there's a car in the wall, it is Gordo. Gordo's out of this race, and Stick AU's also crashed. He's cutting the chicane, and he has no front wing. Back to the leaders. As there's McLaren's going side by side with the Red Bull. Rhino he's already got damage, so he's obviously just understeered, and X2 Mickey's gotten through on him, even with old hard tyres. The cars behind him, ISO Skits will be looking to try get past on Rhino while he has the damage, but Italian Herbs has gotten through on ISO Skits. ISO Skits will be looking to get him back to the leaders, as McFleet and Noobtron nearly went side by side through Aqua Minerale. But will McFleet try go for an overtake? There's not enough space for 2 cars here. Only if you back out majorly on the outside line. I think Nubitron's had to do that. No, he hasn't backed out majorly, but he's backed out enough where there was space for McFleet, and McFleet will now begin the charge as X2 Mickey will now be getting overtaken by Ice Iron Rhino, but he gets caught up behind Nubitron. I think the fresh soft tyres just give him enough grip to still be faster than Mickey. As he gets a poor exit, Mickey will be looking to have a go at him, but Italian Herbs is now side by side with X2 Mickey. Skits might make it 3 wide. Skits is going to make it 2 wide between him and Italian Herbs. Skits is probably going to go right around the outside. Yes, he defends to the inside. Oh, as they make contact! Skits has to cut the chicane. And Italian Herbs has picked up damage to his front wing. Front left end plate. Now, will Skits have damage? I think it looks like he does. It looks like he's understeering. As Ice Iron Rhino gets through on Nubitron, he's up into the podium. He's replaced Nubitron as the golden goose in this race. As McFleet gets even more penalty as 9 seconds, he'll be down in P7 right now. Actually, no, P6 after the race finishes, unless he can bridge the gap to ISO Skits. As it's it's bumper to bumper through the chicane still. The pack isn't spreading out anytime soon. As it looks like Nubitron's going to try have a go back on Rhino, back down the straight. He might even dive it here. Will he dive it here? No, he backed out of it. He knows he doesn't have the grip. If he can just use all of his battery down the straight, but Rhino's battery as well as Dulls. Daniel does like a 17.7, I think I saw, as ISO Skits gets a 3-second time penalty. Now, Nubitron using all of his battery, he's gaining. They're going to go side by side, but I think Rhino will have more grip as they nearly make contact. It was wheel to wheel between the two drivers. They are both fantastic drivers. Stick AU gets another penalty. And Ice Iron Rhino holding the position for the moment, but I don't see him holding it for too much longer in this race. As McFleet's getting damage limitation here, he's going to be in P5 only because of the penalty with ISO Skits. He's not going to be losing as many points as he was before. But Rhino holding onto this position with his dear life. As Dulls Daniel already 4 seconds in the distance on the final lap of this race. Will Nubitron maybe try go for a ridiculous dive bomb after the chicane? And just nick P3 at the last second, or P2 actually, it'll be net P2. As a Nubitron will get a podium anyways. There's a yellow flag at Stick AU, he's around. I think he might be in the wall, no, he's just around. As Nubitron makes a mistake, Stick AU's around again. As it's going to be Dulls Daniel dominating this race. Ice Iron Rhino P2, Nubitron P3. Let's see. Mickey P4, Skits P5, McFleet P6 as somebody gets damage after the line. The AI have crashed after the line. That is crazy. And so McFleet drops down to P6 as it's still yellow flags. As Stick AU still just crashing out or spinning out of this race. As that was domination from Dulls Daniel, really. It really was. As Stick AU spins again, he's gonna get lapped by the party laps if he doesn't finish the race soon. But yeah, it was good race. Dulls Daniel just had the pace from the get-go. The second the lights went out, he was just away with it. Rhino has gotten lucky to hold on to P2. Golden Goose with damage, just hoping. And there was contact around him. Gordo could have had a strong result if there wasn't the crash with Clappy. It was a good race, very interesting. A lot of DNFs, even though it wasn't the most exciting at times. It was a great drive by Dulls Daniel. Hats off to him. Hats off to Rhino for holding the position. Hats off to Nubitron for holding position on those gopping hard tyres. McFleet gets driver of the day because he started so far back, but mainly that was DNFs that he got positions with after his penalties. The finishing order, or as we see the podium here, is Dulls Daniel on top again. it'll be interesting to see. There'll be a lot of disputes and tickets. There was a lot of crashes and a lot of penalties, so I see a lot of disputes just coming in the near future. And yeah, great race by Jules Daniel. Great race from Nubatron. Great race from everybody who survived. It really must have been a task to survive the race because there was crashes absolutely everywhere, and the carnage on the restarts there was a lot of it. So, as it stalls, Daniel P1, Rhino P2, Noobtron P3, Mickey P4 on the old hard tyres. He held on well, just didn't get penalties. Skit recovering to P5, McFleet in P6. After all of his penalties, Italian Herbs P7, Stick AU P8, Gordo P9 after crashing out. And then the DNFers follows Clappy, Haroldinho, Dab It Up, DeBoy Luke, and Bean OCE. And a lot of penalties. A lot of penalties. There was penalties for 7 drivers. That really was a really good race to watch. It got boring in the middle, but after the safety cars, it really just came alive again. Just a spark hit everybody. Crashes everywhere. Just carnage ensued. Great race, and that's gonna be it for today's RL stream. See you next week.